ACP-1000 is China's only brand of third-generation nuclear power technology with complete independent intellectual property rights. It's the only 1,000 megawatt class nuclear power design that China can export independently. Fast Reactor is an internationally recognized direction for the development of fourth-generation nuclear power systems. China is the 8th country that has successfully built a fast reactor in the world. Nuclear fusion reactor is the ultimate energy source for humanity. China has joined the Cooperation Organizations for International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor. Moreover, we have developed land-based and sea-based small multi-purpose modular reactors for ocean exploitation, desalination and heat, power and steam supply. Conditions have already been ready for construction. We are providing the world with green energy. We are the pioneer and main force in the development of nuclear power in China. We have built several nuclear power bases near China's coastline, including Liaoning, Zhejiang, Jiangsu, Fujian, and Hainan. Over the past 30 years, we have unremittingly developed nuclear energy and accumulated precious experience. We are also committed to the development of wind power, solar power, and other clean energy sources to benefit our lives from natural energy. We are a reliable nuclear fuel supplier. We explore the Earth in a green way. We are the exclusive supplier of China's natural uranium product. Uranium enrichment service has been provided to Canada, US, Japan, South Korea, and UK, etc. Heap leaching, in situ leaching, and agitation leaching are technically advanced in the world. We produce fuel with advanced and environmentally friendly technologies. We are China's only producer, supplier, and service provider of nuclear fuel. Our uranium enrichment and centrifuge technology has reached the international advanced level and has been industrially applied. We can provide safe and reliable nuclear fuel elements for different types of nuclear power plants and research reactors. Two large nuclear fuel element production bases have been formed in the north and the south. The capacity of PWR fuel element production ranks 5th in the world. We have built China's first pilot plant for reprocessing spent fuel from nuclear power reactors and a large-scale base for nuclear facility decommissioning and radioactive waste management. Therefore, a whole industrial chain of nuclear environmental protection has been formed. We carry the nuclear technology into hundreds of millions of households. We are the pioneers of nuclear technology application in China. We've been expanding nuclear technology applications in more areas, from agriculture, medicine, anti-terrorism, to environmental protection and aerospace. We regard nuclear safety and security as #1 priority. We actively implement a rational, coordinated, and balanced approach to nuclear safety, and always adhere to the principle of safety first and quality first. The concept of everyone is the last line of defense is rooted in the hearts of everyone. In the past 60 years, a good record of nuclear safety has maintained. We have carried out nuclear security activities in line with international practices to make outstanding contributions to enhancing global nuclear security. We join hands with the rest of the world. We have carried out cooperation, covering the whole chain of nuclear industry with the world. We have edged ourselves into the international nuclear power market through exporting a number of nuclear power units and research reactors. We have brought new vitality to global economic and social development. We are willing to, with more open attitude, strengthen cooperation with world nuclear colleagues, share our accumulated experience in unremitting nuclear energy development for 30 years, and the great opportunity brought by further booming of future nuclear energy development in China, and achieve common progress, mutual benefit, and win-win. We are looking forward to nuclear energy, also the future. In the land of China, whether the sun rises or the night falls, nuclear magic is continuing to be staged. We would like to make nuclear power in more places all over the world. To make the sky bluer, the water clearer, the air fresher, and create a more beautiful future.
Good morning. Before we begin the webinar, I would like to request your attention to the following protocol. The webinar will be conducted in English. All microphones will be mute except for speakers and moderator. The discussion session will be held at the end of each presentation. You may use the chat feature to ask questions. All materials of the presentation will be available at the attached link. Please register your attendance via the link provided during the webinar to receive the certificate from the organizer. And the webinar will be broadcast live on the Humas Batan YouTube channel. To begin with, we have Deputy for Nuclear Energy Technology Batan. Here with us, distinguished Mr. Suryantoro. Also, we have Honorable Mr. Dandang Purwadi as Head of Center for Nuclear Reactor Technology and Safety Batan. Mr. Xie Jiaji as President of China Zongyuan Engineering Corporation, CGEC. Mr. Ding Jian as Vice President of CGEC. Also, all speakers for today are Ms. Hu Yani from China Isotope and Radiation Corporation, Mr. Cheng Wei from China Institute for Radiation Protection, and Dr. Sun Ziong from China Institute of Atomic Energy. And also the moderators are Mr. Huang Yuliang from CGEC and Dr. Saiful Bahri from Batan. Also representatives and participants from National Research and Innovation Agency of Indonesia, BRIN, and also all guests and audiences. Welcome back to all of you to the international webinar on nuclear power and technology. This webinar is organized by the China National Nuclear Corporation, CNNC, and National Nuclear Energy Agency of Indonesia, Batan. It also to commemorate the 26th anniversary of the National Technology Awakening Day or Harteknas of Indonesia. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, now we will begin the main session of our webinar today. And the speakers for this session is Ms. Hu Yani from China Isotope and Radiation Corporation with the topic 1, Nuclear Technology Application of CNNC. Mr. Cheng Wei from China Institute for Radiation Protection with the topic 2, Environmental Protection of CNNC. And Dr. Sun Ziong from China Institute of Atomic Energy with the topic 3, Research Reactor of CNNC. And this session will be moderated by Ms. Mr. Huang Yuliang from CGC, and Dr. Saiful Bahri from Batan. Give you the floor, moderator, please.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Sorry. Okay, thank you. Now we would like to welcome Ms. Kou Yanyi. She's Deputy Director of Marketing Operation Department from China Isotope and Radiation Corporation. She will give us a brief introduction on nuclear technology application of CNC. The CIIC is the holding subsidiary of China National Nuclear Corporation and the largest nuclear enterprise in aspects of research and development, manufacture, distribution, and service of nuclear products in China. So CIIC is mainly engaged in research and application of radioisotope and radiation technology, etc. Mr. Ho will give you more details with many interesting details and also productions. Ms. Ho, you have the floor. Thank you.
Ms. Ho, would you please unmute your microphone first?
Can you hear me?
Yes, great. Now that's good.
Okay. Morning, dear ladies and gentlemen. I'm Yanni Ho from China Isotope and Irradiation Corporation. It's my great pleasure to be here to share with you the nuclear technology applications in China. My presentation will normally fall into 4 parts. Oops, it does not work. I need to try again. The presentation does not work for now. Let's not scroll down. Come on. So my presentation may fall into 4 parts. First of all, I will give a brief introduction of nuclear technology applications, which is followed by nuclear medicine, radioactive sources, and irradiation processing applications. Nuclear technology is a technology that involves the reaction of atomic nuclei. It is an interdisciplinary technology with a combined application of nuclear physics, radiation physics, radiochemistry, and biochemistry. Cyclotrons, nuclear reactors, radiation detectors, and nuclear electronics are fundamental supporting technologies adopted in nuclear technology. So among the notable nuclear technologies are nuclear weapons, nuclear energy, and non-power nuclear technologies, which including nuclear medicine, industrial application, and irradiation processing. What we are going to cover today is a non-power nuclear technology. So nuclear technology are widely used in industry, food and agriculture, environmental protections. And its global economic scale has been close to trillions of dollars. And it has been trillions of dollars and accounts for more than 2% of the GDP in developed countries. In America, we can see from this page, the annual output value of nuclear technology accounts for 4 to 5% of GDP. Actually, an equivalent of USD 60 billion in 2009. In Japan and Europe, it is about 2 to 3% in total. In China, the number is much less. It just represents merely 0.4% of the total GDP. Realizing the great potential that nuclear technology can contribute to the economy, Chinese government has already issued a series of policies to support and boost the industry where nuclear technology is involved. Well, nuclear medicine is one of them. Nuclear medicine is a safe and effective way of diagnosing and treating of a wide range of conditions. As a diagnosis tool, nuclear medicine takes the form of radioactive chemicals called radionuclides, which are combined with a molecule whose behavior within the human body is known. This combination is called tracer, and it can be administered orally or intravenously. Cool thing is that once tracers are in the body, they tend to migrate towards the specific organs or specific lesions like tumors or bone infections, and they can be detected by the gamma cameras outside the human body. Apart from the diagnosis, it can also be used to treat many conditions, including thyroid cancer and blood disorder. Well, nuclear medicine is strong stuff, but experts have established a stringent code for minimizing the risk of the patients, as well as the exposure of radioactivity to the public. This means that the patients will be given as small an amount of radionuclide as possible. So nuclear medicine therapy uses ionizing radiation, which is much stronger but cannot get very far before it's absorbed by body tissues. It can do its job on a problem area, but leave nearby organs unharmed. And that's nuclear medicine. So how tiny atoms that can make a big difference to our health. Actually, it has already been, I'm sorry, okay. Actually, the nuclear medicine has already been proved to be a powerful tool in addition to surgery, chemotherapy, and reduced therapy to diagnose and treat cancers. We have made a simple comparison here. In diagnostic aspect, nuclear medicine imaging normally, SPECT and PET are generally more organ, tissue, or disease-specific than conventional radiology imaging tools, which focus on a particular section of the body. So the nuclear medicine provides physical function or molecular level information, while CT or MRI is specialized in anatomical imaging. In addition, there are technologies in nuclear medicine that allow imaging of the whole body in one time. In therapeutic treatment, since the radiopharmaceuticals used in nuclear medicine, thereby emit ionizing radiation that travels only a short distance, thereby minimizing the unwanted side effects and damage to non-involved organs and nearby structures. In addition, the irradiation treatment dose is administered intravenously or orally rather than from the external radiation source or involving surgery. So there is much less pain. Most nuclear medicine therapies can be performed as an outpatient procedure. So there are less side effects from the treatment, and the radiation exposure to the general public can be kept within a very safe limit. So it is also comparatively very cheap. There are three cornerstones backing up the nuclear medicine: radiopharmaceuticals, molecular imaging, and physicians which we will not be covered and discussed during this presentation. So the first cornerstone is the radiopharmaceuticals. Radiopharmaceuticals contains two parts, medical isotopes and biomarker. Most of the radioisotopes we found in nature have relatively long half-lives. They also belong to elements which cannot be handled very well by human body. So as a result, the nuclei used in nuclear medicines are almost produced all artificially. The production methods of the medical radioisotopes are currently reactor, cyclotrons, and generators. In order to ensure the radioisotopes reach the correct organ, the isotope is linked to a non-radioactive substance. We call it the biomarker. So the compound as a whole is called radiopharmaceuticals. In this photo, the most commonly used diagnostic and therapeutic radiopharmaceuticals are pinpointed. The red highlighted ones are using isotopes made by the radioactives, while the blue ones are from cyclotrons. The second cornerstone, the molecular imaging technique, mainly refers to SPECT and PET. Both of them use gamma radiation to capture valuable information about organ function and metabolism. Now let's take a look at current situation of the nuclear medicine in China. According to the National Survey of Nuclear Medicine in 2020, conducted by Chinese Society of Nuclear Medicine, at present, there are about 1,148 entities practicing nuclear medicine, with an annual increase of 23.8% relative to 2017, among which 939 are nuclear medicine departments within the hospitals, and others include SPECT or PET centers, radioimmune department, radiotherapy centers, etc. The practitioners in this field have also grown to be almost 13,000 with an increase rate of 38.4%. SPECT-CT still takes a dominant position in terms of the installation quantities, but PET-CT has obviously gained much more popularity among doctors, with an increase rate up to 39.1% relatively to 2017. Conventionally, the SPECT-CT procedures are performed mainly for bone scan, which accounts for more than half of the total number, while the application of PET-CT mainly focused on oncological imaging, which is almost 95%. Either method, a rapid growth in double digit has been witnessed year on year, especially for PET-CT, a 62.6% growth rate. As regard to the radionuclide therapy, due to the adverse impact of COVID-19 pandemic, the patients receiving treatment has decreased to 528,480, so a negative growth rate of 13%. When looking into the breakdowns, iodine-131 treatment for grafts, BTC, skin diseases, technetium MDP brachytherapy macrocists still rank the top. To further boost the development of nuclear medicine, one county, one nuclear medicine department policy has been formally promoted in a recently issued national medium and long-term development strategy for medical isotope. In China, the radioisotopes for medical applications produced include fluorine-18, iodine-123, germanium-68, technetium-19Am, lutetium-177, and etc. These radioisotopes will then be used to prepare radiopharmaceuticals for diagnostics, actually for SPECT-CT and PET-CT procedures, as well as the therapeutic purposes. There have been 16 radiopharmaceuticals are listed in Chinese pharmacopoeia, and 20 kinds of technetium-99 radiopharmaceuticals and associated code keys are approved by CFDA and used in clinical for SPECT imaging routinely. 10 kinds of radiopharmaceuticals labeled with phosphorium 32, adenine-131, and strontium-89 has all been approved by CFDA and used in clinical for therapy. Let's say several widely used radiopharmaceuticals for the therapeutic purposes. Sodium-131 oral solution. It is used for diagnostic and treatment of hyperthyroidism, thyroid cancer, and metastatic cancer and other thyroid-related disease. Adenine-125C starts from the treatment of prostate cancer in America, and its application has been virtually expanded by Chinese radiotherapists to almost all solid tumors. Recently, the innovative APPs like TPIs, AI, and 3D printing templates have been introduced to Iodine 125 microseed implantation surgery to help achieve more precise positioning and thus improve the curative effect. Strontium-89 chloride injection is for relief of pain from late malignant tumor bone metastasis caused by prostate cancer and breast cancer. Here is a comparison between the before and after taking the injection of strontium-89. UBT, urine breast test for Helicobacter pylori detection, is another widely used technology in the nuclear medicine area. Urine breast test as a non-invasive and accurate diagnostic technology. It is mainly used for the diagnosis of Helicobacter pylori infection. I guess most of us have already heard of this kind of bacterium. It is the prime cause of the gastritis and peptic ulcer disease and has been linked to the onset of gastric cancer in some individuals. This bacterium have been shown to infect more than 50% of the world's population, with an incidence up to 80% in developing countries. Two types of the product are normally used in China, carbon-14 and carbon-13. The process of taking this kind of techniques is quite simple. So first of all, just blow into a baseline breast bag, and then take a carbon-13 or carbon-14 urine capsule with water, and then you sit for 30 minutes and blow into the post-dose breast test, and then test 2 bags of the breast, and then you get the result, and which is the golden standard recognized by the physicians. Another important branch of radiopharmaceuticals is the in vitro immunoassay diagnostic reagents and kits that are used to test specimens collected from patients to the diagnosis of hepatitis, thyroid functions, gynecology, and oncology, etc. Talking about radioactive sources, it can be generally categorized into radioactive sources for medical and industrial applications. Medical radioactive sources products are mainly for radiotherapy, including teletherapy and brachytherapy. Industrial radioactive sources are mainly used for radiation service, non-destructive testing, on-land element analysis, and oil well logging. While cobalt-60 is a typical radioactive source which can be used both in medical and industrial area. For industrial applications, it is a key part of irradiation processing. The total amount of cobalt-60 installed in the world exceeds 400 million curies. The annual global demand won't stop growing, with US up to 50%, Europe 20%, and China 15%. The trend is attributed to the continuous strong demand to irradiate medical consumables and food products, which is further compounded by the shutdown of reactors in Canada and the world-sweeping COVID-19 pandemic. It is expected that the stringent supply situation will continue for the next 3 to 5 years. Another important application of cobalt-60 is to function as a core part of a gamma knife, which is one of the precision oncology tools. Gamma knife was first developed by Professor and neurosurgeon Les Lexley in 1968. It is a non-invasive stereotactic radiosurgery instrument that involves no scalpel or incision. It is not a knife out at all. Instead, gamma knife manufactured in China uses up to 30 cobalt-60 sources. So the beams of radiation precisely focused to target malignant and non-malignant tumors, vascular and functional disorders in the brain without harming surrounding healthy tissue. So patients are typically in and out of the hospital in 1 day's time and back to their normal life soon after the treatment. Gamma knife radiosurgery may be used in place of or in addition to traditional surgery, depending on the patient's diagnosis. Here is a comparison before and after a patient received the gamma knife treatment. See, obviously, he was almost unable to hold a cup of water, but after the treatment, the shaking hands become much more steady. So with less pain and economic advantages, there have been 308 units of gamma knives installed in around 200 hospitals nationwide in China. And the annual demand of cobalt-60 radioactive source is about 30 units. Similar to industrial cobalt-60 for irradiation, medical high-specific cobalt-60 source also encounters supply shortage. To fill up the gap and build up the domestic supply capacity, CNC initiated a project to produce cobalt-60 source in 2004. After years of efforts, we have succeeded in providing industrial and medical cobalt-60 radioactive sources in 2011 and 2019, respectively. So CNC becomes the third company in the world capable of manufacturing and supplying cobalt-60 radioactive sources at international standards. The specific activity for industrial source has been increased to 200 curies per gram, and medical sources being up to 250 and 300 curies per gram, which is high enough to meet the requirements of gamma knife and afterloading treatment unit. The production of cobalt-60 sources starts from the preparation of cobalt adjusted rod assembly and then put it in a can-do reactor to be irradiated for 2 years. After that, the cobalt-60 raw material will be fabricated into cobalt-60 sources in CIE and then delivered by specialized companies to the end users. They will play an important role in in irradiation plants, where the irradiation processing will be conducted. And that is what we are going to talk about in the fourth part, irradiation processing. These are some pictures from our daily life. The cables, cosmetics, and spices, glasses, pickles, and flowers. So one thing they have in common is that they all have a close contact with irradiation processing. In an irradiation process, a product or material is intentionally irradiated to preserve, modify, or improve its characteristics. So this process is carried out by placing the product in the vicinity of a radiation source, such as carboxylate, for a fixed time interval, whereby the product is exposed to radiation emitting from the source. A fraction of the radiation energy that reaches the product is absorbed by the product. The amount depending on its mass and the composition and time of exposure. For each type of product, a certain amount of radiation energy is needed to realize the desired effect in the product, and the exact value has to be determined through research. Irradiation processing has several advantages over other treatment methods. Taking sterilization health care products as an example, such advantages include the minimal rise in product temperature during the processing, and the irradiation dose will not produce any harmful residue in the product. Since the product can be irradiated with its package, which will avoid the second contamination and thus has a better quality. And fourthly, the irradiation will make a better quality in the fields of the macromolecules cross-link and gene modification in order to create a better quality of the material. Therefore, it has been widely used for the medical products sterilization, as well as the material cables and polymer irradiation, as well as a textile printing, dyeing, addictive, food, snacks, and spices sterilization, frozen seafood sterilization, and it also helps keep the fruit fresh and also from sprouting. You can also find the irradiation processing very useful for the medicine sterilization, also cosmetic sterilization, and the radioactive breeding. There are two types of irradiation plants can be delivered in the EPC Tinker project, the gamma irradiation. Mostly at present, the carboxylate are adopted to perform the irradiation. And the other one is the electron accelerators. In these facilities, the electron used as the irradiation source to perform the processing. During the fight against engineering design capacity in China, we'd like to see. We can see from this paragraph, the gamma irradiation facilities has witnessed rapid growth in terms of the quality, quantity, and processing capacity. There are more than 130 facilities with a total design loading capacity of over 170 billion curies. And the design loading capacity of carboxylate for gamma irradiation facilities can be as high as 600 curies, and the Chinese designed gamma facilities have been exported to Thailand, Vietnam, and Malaysia. As for the capability of irradiation accelerators, the installation of irradiation facilities have grown much more rapidly in recent years, has been reaching 550 units. The irradiation accelerators with proprietary intellectual property are widely used in materials modification, cable production, sterilization, food shelf extension, etc. And China-made irradiation accelerators account for 80% of domestic market and have been exported to Europe, USA, and Southeast Asia. Another application of the is regarding the NDT accelerators, which have been widely used in aerospace, aviation, weapon, nuclear power, and machining. During the fight against COVID-19, irradiation processing has played a part in containing the virus. Its emergency use for sterilizing the disposable medical protective gown, which is crucial for the medical staff's safety, but in extreme shortage upon the breakout of the pandemic, has shortened the production time from 14 days to just 1 day. To standardize the procedure, Chinese government has organized the experts to compile and issue a preliminary industry standard and share it with the international community through IAEA to help more countries to control the spread of the virus. In economy side, the scale of this technology is enormous, taking into account of the total value of the products treated with ionizing radiation. This is especially true for healthcare products in industrial countries like the USA and Canada, where it is estimated that more than half of these products is currently sterilized using ionizing radiation. And more people realize the benefits of irradiation in many countries. Sterilization of important products by using ionizing radiation has been required by customs authorities before entering into the territory. And the technology is still expanding and driven by innovations in the industry, and more application will be used in the nano technology, natural polymers, and composite and environmental protection. And this is the whole of my presentations. Thank you for your attention. And if there is any questions, it is welcome to discuss.
Great, thank you so much, Ms. Hu, for the great presentations. Talk about the nuclear application for medicine, for radiotherapy, and then for radiation facility. Okay, we have a few questions here.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. The first one is from Professor Jared here. Okay.
Yeah.
Following the massive shortage of molybdenum-99, MO99 in the world in the 2009 until 2010 period, concern arose that the aging reactor production facilities needed to be replaced. Does this happen in China too? And how to solve it?
So are you talking about the COVID-19 influence of the technology application in China?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I have to say the effect have to be seen from two aspects. So first of all, Obviously, it has already have an adverse impact on Chinese economy, as well as in nuclear technology, as I have mentioned in previous presentation. For example, in nuclear medicine, less people coming to hospital due to the government requirements to stay at home and have have to have the social distancing policies. So the nuclear medicine in hospital have seen negative growth, that is about 13% during 2020. And in the same time, for the industrial side, this is also the same story. So people have to stay at home and no one go to work. That is why the adverse impact does lag down the development of the whole industry. But if we can look at from other from other aspect, and to open our mind and to be more innovative during the pandemic, we can. There are still a vast opportunities exist there. As I mentioned in the presentation, that the irradiation processing has been successfully adopted to sterilize the one-time, the disposable protective gun for the doctors to protect their life. And this business has been continued after even after Chinese the pandemic situation has been eased. This has contribute a great economic value to the industry. And recently, actually, I didn't mention in this presentation, but there is another there's another technology actually that is a breakthrough in the irradiation processing. The experts are considering to use the irradiation technology to sterilize the cold chain transportation. Maybe some of the audience have heard that the COVID-19 virus sometimes is transmitted through the cold chain transportation. And if this technology can finally be approved effective and commercially available and effective, that will be another great contribution the nuclear technology can do to the economy. So although there is always opportunities and the threats coexist in our whole world. So if we can think always from another aspect, there are always opportunities are there waiting for us. Thank you.
Actually, the question from Prof. Jarod is about the reactor facility to produce molybdenum 99 here. You know that in Indonesia right now, our reactors have been more than 30 years, I think, and quite old in terms of reactor, but still in a good conditions. And we face the aging problem here for the research reactor. How about in China? Do you have sort of the same problem like that for your radioisotope production, for example?
Actually, I have to say that the production of the isotopes using the radioactive using the reactors, that is first of all, in China, the majority of the radioisotopes which is used either in industrial and medical imported from the third country, such as Canada and European countries like Belgium, also maybe sometimes Indonesia. I'm not quite sure. And China has been making a lot of efforts to the development of the reactor-produced isotopes. We have made some progress. Some of the institutes are capable of supplying technetium 99, iodine 131, iodine 125. But that is just a minor quantity of the total demand in Chinese market. So it does has some, in fact, it has already received some influence, both from the condition of the reactors itself, and also the pandemic situation when it is worsening because people have to stay at home. From the condition of the reactor itself, since most of them are for the study and for the research purposes, so only when it is not occupied by the heavy research objectives and the tasks, and then the production of radioisotopes can be initiated. But Chinese government has already realized the importance of stable and secured supply of radioisotope for the whole industry. We have already studied. We have already started to initiate several projects at the national level. In my presentation previously, I have mentioned a national long, medium, and long-term national strategy for medical isotopes. In that strategy, the requirement, the demand, and the plan to setting up and supplying the medical and industrial radioisotope have been addressed.
Okay, great. So actually, it's not really rely on the research reactor over there in China, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. The second question from Mr. Sriono here. Have you measured the radionuclide content in east or south of China Sea before and after the Fukushima incidents? Are there any anomalies due to the Fukushima incidents here?
Oh, I think that is
actually it's a bit outside of your topic, but that's fine. Maybe you have any information about this. How about the measurements of radionuclide contents in China? A bit close to the Fukushima.
I have to say that it is really a question outside my topic, but I can say that the measurements of the contamination can also be conducted by using the nuclear technology. As I said, the radioactive sources, which can be applied in a variety of scenarios, and the environmental protection is one of them. I guess the Chinese expert in the marine area, they have already adopted this kind of technology. So I think that is all I can answer to this question. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The next question from Ms. Geni, Dr. Geni Rina Sunario here. A very good explanation about nuclear application in China. Thank you. How many nuclear reactors are dedicated for nuclear medicine purpose? That's quite similar with the question from Professor Gerald. How do they manage the nuclear reactor itself? Do they have self-authority for managing that, or how from the business area? Is there any private company involved on nuclear medicine business? Thank you again. Wow, a lot of questions from Ms. Jenny. You can answer one by one, I think. From the how many nuclear reactors are dedicated for nuclear medicine purpose? Yeah.
Actually, in China, there's not one nuclear reactors are dedicated to the production of the medical radioisotopes.
Okay.
Because most of them are, as I just mentioned, most of them are just the research reactors. When the research objectives, the task is not that heavy, and then it will be used to produce the production of the medical isotopes. But still, it is on the strategy of the Chinese government.
Yeah, I think I will address Ms. Gani Rinasuni's question perhaps for the last topic for today, but still, this is the one question. Another question from Ms. Gani Rinasuni about: is there any private company involved on nuclear medicine business?
Yes, our company.
All right.
Yeah, China Isotope and Irradiation Corporation, which is a holding subsidiary of CNC. We are the specialized company focusing in the nuclear medicine industry for almost 60 years. We can providing the nuclear radiopharmaceuticals from both in diagnostic and therapeutic purposes, and we have more than 17 distribution and production centers located in different areas of China. Yeah.
Wow, 17 locations.
There will be more.
Okay. Okay. The next question from Mr. Jupiter here. Right? I think it's quite interesting here. Thank you so much for your comprehensive presentations. My question, Mr. Jupiter's presentations, is what is the return money value of your commercial isotope production for the medicine compared to its production?
What do you mean, return money?
Sort of the, I'm not sure, but Jupiter, it's kind of a revenue. Is that what you mean here, but
yes,
Jupiter?
Kind of revenue, yes, please.
Yeah, it's sort of revenue.
Oh, okay. So you just want to make the comparison.
How much the revenue? Yeah, for the commercial production.
Production costs.
Production costs, sort of like that. Yeah.
So which one are you talking about? Because it involves different kinds of products, and some of them have to be associated with services. So that quite be different.
Yes, yes. The problem in isotope production is when we do productions and sell to the public, sometimes the cost of reactor operations and then the facility use cannot covered by the costs, the return, the revenue of the radioisotope. So this is look like some about services to the public only. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Yeah. Okay, I understand. You are completely right. So the selling price of the isotopes normally cannot cover the cost of building up and operating reactors. That is true everywhere in the world, and also in China. And I think that is why it must be a national strategy to setting up reactors to produce and supply the radioactive isotopes domestically and to other parts of the world. Because not even a private, no private companies can shoulder, can cover this cost. So currently, once again, the research reactors, the cost will be covered mostly by the Chinese government. So it won't be added up to the isotopes sold to the public.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, sort of government subsidized, isn't it? Sort of like that, yeah?
Yes.
To cover how to the reactor operation or reactor construction, I think. The next question from Mr. Deputy here, Mr. Suryantoro. How much the cobalt-60 source for the irradiator in China?
You mean the production capacity?
The price, I think.
Yes, the price.
Yeah. If we would like to import sort of cobalt-60 from China, how much?
Great. Yeah. Okay. Excluding the transportation fee, I'm not quite sure. Procuring of the cobalt-60 for industrial application is about $15.
$15 per
curie.
per curie. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that make sense, Mr. Deputy? I think Mr. Dandang knows about that.
Thank you for the information. Thank you very much.
So if you are interested, we can contact after this webinar. I think you have my email.
Yes, I have email. Yeah, I just want to know the price of the cobalt-60 for irradiator, because in my country here in Indonesia, we have planned to contract many irradiator in the region. So when we know the price of the cobalt-60, maybe from China is cheaper, or maybe the cheapest in the world, that will be very good for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Another question here from Mr. Professor Eri Hiswara. Is China also developing BNCT? What is the current state of the applications? Are there any information about the China development in BNCT?
NCT or NDT?
BNCT. No, boron nuclear capture.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
BNCT, right?
BNCT, yeah.
Yeah, BNCT, yeah. Actually, that is a quite hot topic recently in China. And as far as I know, there have been several companies, actually some within CNC, have been making a lot of efforts in the research and commercialization of the BNCT. In comparison between BNCT and some other precision oncology tools, it has been proved to be more precise, and the curative effect could be much higher in comparison to other ways. But currently, there are two tricky questions to commercialize the BNCT technology. First of all, the pharmaceuticals. As we all know, the BNCT, the radiopharmaceutical is used as a boron labeled pharmaceuticals. So we have to find, so the experts have to find a biomarker that can bring the boron to the exact part or section of the body. This is area we still need a lot of work. And second of all, we need neutron. And normally in hospital, there is not a very large space for holding such a reactor in order to create the neutron. So how to make the size of the reactor suitable for the hospital? That is a very hard question. And some of the team in China has been trying to use the accelerators, create neutrons, and even some are working on a different technology path by using the miniature reactors. So both of these directions have already made some progress. But I'm not an expert in this field, but I'd like to share more information after the webinar.
Okay, great. Hopefully it's answered, Pak Eri. Is that okay?
Yes,
yeah.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. Yeah, okay. I think that's all the question for Ms. Huyani for this first session today, this morning. We will wrap up the first session for Ms. Huyani. Give a big applause for Ms. Huyani, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, thanks again.
Thank you.
Yeah, I will hand over again to Mr. Hu for the second session.
Thank you, Mr. Hu. Thanks, Ms. Ho again. Now for the topic 2, we will talk about environmental protection of CNC. This topic will be presented by Mr. Chen Wei, Director of International Cooperation Office from China Institute for Radiation Protection. The China Radiation Protection Research Institute is the only comprehensive, sorry, can you hear me? Sorry. Yeah, so the China Radiation Protection Research Institute is the only comprehensive scientific research institution specializing in radiation protection research and application in China. It is mainly engaged in radiation protection, nuclear emergency, and nuclear safety, nuclear environmental science, radioactive waste control, and nuclear facility decommissioning, etc. So let's warmly welcome Mr. Chen Wei to give the presentation. Mr. Chen, please.
Thank you, Chair. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, I will share my screen. So I think you can see my screen shared.
Yep.
Okay. Wait a little bit. I think it's on the way. Yeah. Thank you, Chair, and dear colleagues and friends from our both sides. Good morning. My name is Chen Wei. I come from the China Institute for Radiation Protection. Just like Chair just now mentioned, CIRP is a member of the CNC, and currently it is the only research institute within CNC and also within the country, within China. It is the only institute solely dedicated for the scientific research and application of radiation protected sciences. Today, I would like to use this presentation to deliver you general ideas of the business scope of the CIRP, and I hope that to draw attention or establish collaborations with the Indonesian parts, no matter for the scientific research, as well as in form of collaboration on the service and products. So my presentation today will be three parts, and the first one I will be very quick. It's a general overview of the radiation protection, and the second part, which is some general information of the institute. The major part is the third one, is overview of the industry. So that is business or experiences accumulated, no matter in the scientific research or the service or product development of the institute in the field of radiation protection. And as the slide shows, I would like to use this slide to show that the radiation actually exists everywhere in our daily lives, no matter in our indoor environment or natural environment or medical sectors. Radiation is the thing that exists everywhere. So the issues arises in different industries, and that means not only nuclear power industries as well as the nuclear application industries, all involved with the issues of radiation protections. And the purpose of the institute, or no matter science, the purpose of the research and the application business of the institute is to provide solutions of different radiation protection issues to satisfy the basic principles of the radiation protection. That is the justification, dose limitation, and optimization of the radiation protection. So I will be very quick on the general overview of the radiation protection, because I noticed that most of our participants today is from the nuclear industries. I think that will be very easy for all of us to understand it. And now the second part, we proceed to the CIRP. Just now I mentioned CIRP currently is the only one national institute solely dedicated for the radiation protection sciences research and applications in China, also of course within the CNC. And our institute have developed for nearly 60 years, and is starting from 1962. And just last year, we have an integral reform to the institute. That is the purpose of the reform to further enhance or improve qualities and the levels of research. And so that's why we have a separate industry companies established to focus on the application of the research findings of the institute over the past 60 years. That is for the products and services. That is the CIRP and the CIRP technologies. And this diagram shows the institute's general structures. And just like just now I mentioned, starting from 2020, we have another appearance that is CIRP technology, and focusing on the marketing of the products and the services of the research outcomes, research findings of the CIRP. And the CIRP itself is still focused on the scientific research of different aspects of radiation protection sciences. So that's the top level integration, a company with the research organization. And the second level, we have three or four major parts. The core part in the light blue colors, that is the core strengths of scientific research and development of the institute. And we have 6 research departments plus 1 frontier technology research center. And the 6 departments, respectively dedicated for the radiological and environmental medicine, and that is a medicine department. And we have the physical department for the physics department, that is health physics department. And we also have nuclear environmental sciences department, only mainly for the environmental issues arise among the nuclear industry. And we also have environmental engineering and technology department that's for the civil engineering issues. And the fourth one is the fifth one. The fifth one is for the waste management. And the last one is the emergency and safety department. So this is the core strengths of the institute in terms of research. And at the rightmost part is the 2 industry companies under subsidiaries of the CIRP technologies. One is for the products, the other is for the services. So that in this diagram, you can see that is the general logics of the institute is to transfer the research outcomes to the industries and to get a feedback from the marketing and reinvent into the research and development. And contribution, just now I mentioned, Institute developed 60 years. So Institute has made some major contributions for the safety and security development of the nuclear powers over the 60 years. CIRP is the first, is the general contractor of the first decommissioned nuclear facility in China. That mission is performed in the year of 1980s, right? And also the Institute work as the drafter of the national report for the waste, IAEA waste management conventions and two emergency conventions. And also the Institute provides technical support for the personal dose measurement to the mandate space activities, as well as the emergency preparedness for the mandates spacecraft launching missions. And so this is this slide generally summarizes the institute. The institute is the only basic scientific research institute specialized in radiation research and development in China. And it is the key member of the institute as the research and development strength. And also CIRP is currently the secretariat of the China Society of Radiation Protection. In China, there's only two national level societies. One is a nuclear society, the other one is the Radiation Protection Society. So the CIRP works as the secretariat and also the editor office of the only national level journal of radiation protection.
Mr. Wei?
Yep.
Would you please change your presentation mode from this kind of taking notes slideshow into the slideshow one, the full screen one?
Oh, full screen. Let me try.
Yep.
This one.
No, that's.
It's I'm not familiar with how to operate it.
All right, all right.
Or in this way.
Yeah, because from here it's not really. Okay, you should start from the beginning, I think. Okay, and then put in the slideshow, and you share screen the slideshow one, the full screen one.
但是我确实点了不放映了，它不是那样子的。我知道，我。
Are you using double monitor over there?
No,
only single monitor. All right.
Okay. How about this way? We just return to the editing interface. Is that good enough? How about this time in this way?
Someone's saying here from Dr. Sun Jun. He gives an advice. I'm not sure. It's the Chinese writing over there. Or the second upper menu for switching to full screen in mode slideshow. Okay. I think while you are after you slideshow it, and then when you share screens, you may select the full screen mode, I think, not the slide mode.
隐藏演示者视图，对。
Okay. Finally got it.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I stopped at.
Good. You may go on.
Okay, thank you all. I'm sorry for the inconvenience. And I will start from this part. And this diagrams that shows the research scope of the institute. And in terms of the subject of the research, it covers the sources, the public and the environment. So, and we call it the source safety and public health and the environmental protection. And in terms of the circle of the radiation protection disciplines that covers from the source to the pathway and to the dose and effect, that shows the institute covers the whole chain of the radiation protection sciences. And in terms of the research, it focused on the nature science basic research as well as the management practices. So in general terms, we summarize the institute's the features that is a fundamental one and a comprehensive one, and also focused on the applicabilities of the research findings. This is the diagram that shows currently the institute's major research divisions in the institute. And we have the radiation protection, the physical one, and the radiation protection and the medicine as the most basic ones. And in the top four parts, that is the extension of the basic research or the application of the basic research. Nuclear one is for the nuclear emergency and safety, and the other one is the nuclear environmental science and nuclear facility decommissioning and waste management, and the new technology and new methodology research and development. And this is the general conditions of the institute. The institute located at about 500 kilometers away from Beijing in the southwest, and takes 2.5 hours by the bullet train. And currently we have, this is the main compound of the institute, and about 30 kilometers away from this main compound, we have a few test center laboratory in which we can perform the simulation of radionuclide in the real environment, natural environment. And here is some major research facilities newly commissioned in the institute, and it's a features of the institute. One is for the radiation measurement and testing laboratories, and it is also work as the SSDL of IAEA, secondary level calibration centers of the IAEA and as well as the country. And this is the laboratory for the accelerator mass spectrometry and AMS, and it will be commissioned this year. And this is the laboratory for the biological effects of radiations. It is, we call it the animal lab. It is performed the studies on the biological effects of the ionizing radiations. And also, as later on I will mention, the radiopharmaceutical safety preclinical safety assessment laboratory, GLP lab, is also in this facility. And this is the comprehensive facility for the radioactive experiment. And this is the facility we newly commissioned a new wind tunnel. We have another old one, smaller one. This is new wind tunnel, mainly for the simulation or for the purpose of the site selections. And this is the ALARA laboratories for the artificial intelligence of radiation protection software development. And this is the ecology simulation facilities. So, and in terms of the capacity, general capacity of the institute, and we can summarize it into these different set categories, and from the planning to research, consulting, and product services. And later on, I will break it into 3 major fields and seven major fields to give you specific introductions about the experiences we have accumulated over the past several decades for the research and the development of radiation protection science. The first part is the radiation protections, and this is the most basic part ones. In terms of radiation protections, the most features, technologies, or experiences we accumulated in terms of technologies, as well as the products and services, is mainly mainly on the following 8 aspects. One is the radiation protection planning, and protective materials and equipment, and design and the consultation for the ALARA, as well as the environmental impact assessment and new emergency response and preparedness and response, and occupational health and safety assessment, and some instruments for the monitoring purpose and safety assessment of the radiopharmaceuticals. In terms of ALARA technologies, and we currently in China, we prefer to call it, the most popular term is the artificial intelligence of radiation protections. And in the institute currently, we have developed the full system that is capable of simulating the distributing the radiation field dose simulation and the research and the distribution of the hotspots, and carry out the estimation of those contributions to the staff and perform the duties during the outage of the NPPs or any other type of nuclear facilities. And this system has already put into practical use in the Qingshan NPPs and also some other facilities. And the main functions is just now I mentioned, it's for the optimization of the personal dose management, as well as for the purpose of the trainings of new staff that want to enter before entering into the practical operation, practical duties to get their oriented, right? Familiar with the real situations. And the institute measurement of radiation source term and the field application. This technology is mainly for the deposition and activated radiological source terms, and to conduct the non-destructive measurement. And with these technologies, we can obtain the types of to identify the radionuclides and its activities and those contributions and its gamma radiation levels. All the information can be obtained. And currently, this technology has already been carried out in most of the nuclear facilities, nuclear and power plants in China currently. It include the detections and the investigations and a weak penetration lens those investigations, as well as the final estimations to the source those contributions. And currently, the Institute also carry out IAEA TC project to improve the data interpretation technologies. And yeah, this is for the Institute measurement of radiation source terms. And in terms of the monitoring equipment, and the Institute is the only provider of the actual dose monitoring products and services in China, with continuous monitoring equipment for radioactive aerosol, iodine, and inert gases, the PAG monitoring system, and the continuous monitoring for radioactive iodides. It not only provides products, equipment, and services for the nuclear facilities and NPPs, but also successfully export to the foreign markets. And just now, that's for the aerosols, and this is for the personal dose management systems, and as well as the access control portable instruments that can be used for the actual access control at the nuclear NPPs or nuclear facilities. And this is a very basic, this is some very common and basic instruments to be equipped for the most nuclear facilities. Not only the detector itself, but also the management system. And sorry, I think this is a little bit, I don't know why the picture do not show completely. And this paragraph just shows just now the services and the products, monitoring products and detection products has already been applied in most nuclear NPP facilities and some research reactors or for other type of facilities within China, and also exported to the foreign market. Another featured services is a low-level radioactivity measurement and analysis. And in this field, the institute currently is the only one in China that's capable of can be work as the quality assurance service providers. That means in China is the laboratory of CRP for the reactivity measurement, environmental analysis and measurement, is the host of the quality insurance programs in this field. And this is the simulation, nuclear environmental simulation facilities, or the tools we developed in the institute. And currently, institute in China, it is the most comprehensive one. The institute obtains half of the measures of physical simulations, digital simulations, as well as a field measurement capabilities in China. And more than 80% of the NPPs in China is it's a site selection, or in the site selection phases, the meteorological service is provided by the institute. And this is the radioactive ecological simulation and evaluation facilities. And this is this new facility. We have older ones. It is commissioned in 2016. And now it's leading in domestic ecological migration of simulation of radionuclides. And this is a facility we can simulate the different climates in the laboratories. Just now I mentioned we have a remote experiment site, remote site that is capable of to conduct the experiment in the real nature environment for the ecological simulation purpose. And in terms of emergencies, actually, it is a combination of the different aspects of the radiation protections. In China, Institute also works as the National Nuclear Emergency National Technical Support Center for the nuclear emergency and the field of radiation protection technologies. And also, the Institute works as the IAEA capability as capacity building centers for the emergency preparedness and response, and carry out regularly following the IAEA guidance for some national and international training programs. And assessment of the environment, the Institute is the only member of IAEA, CNC, with the qualification of safety assessment, and the domestic class A class qualification of occupational hygiene and disease hazard assessments. And the environment assessment also has the class A qualifications, and providing the overall technical support services for the construction projects. And currently, the Institute work as the general safety and general technical support centers for the safety of the CNC. Yeah. And this part is for the medical part, and the institute studies the biological effects of ionizing radiations, and based on the research, institute also currently established the only GLB laboratories that are capable of capable of conducting the safety assessment for the radio or non-radio pharmaceutical studies. Yeah. And we have the animal lab, animal lab that are capable of the toxicology studies of different types of animals, from the mice to the rice and monkey, and pig, and the dogs. Yeah. So this is a very special facilities currently in the world, capable of animal experiments for the biological effect of ionizing radiation. And the next part is the reactive material transport. In this part, the featured experiences of the institute is for the safety assessment and the performance verification and the design of the containers for the transport of radioactive materials. And the institute have the in terms of the radioactive material transport safety assessment, it is now leading organizations in China, and the institute also have the only one testing facilities capable of 130 tons of spent fuel transport containers. And currently 60% of the design, testing, and safety analysis assessment of radioactive material transport containers are performed or conducted in the institute. And the most part of this project is for the civil use, that is for the isotopes transportations containers. And for the safety assessment in this aspect, the institute also covers developed its own softwares that are capable of the safety assessment for the radioactive material transport, and for its impact to the environment and the public. And now through the industries, we provide services to 70% of the radioactive material transport analysis and assessment to the domestic market. And for the decommissioning and for the nuclear facility decommissioning, the institute have a dedicated research department, so solely dedicated for this purpose. And starting from the 1980s, the institute has established a full scope, research scope or capabilities in the field of decommissioning, and also accumulated some many practical experiences, engineering experiences. And in terms of the its capabilities, that it covers that decommissioning preparations, system investigations, decontaminations, dismantling and disassembly, and the waste management, to the environmental remediations and other general technologies necessary for the purpose of decommissioning. And these slides, there's the timelines that shows some major engineering projects of project experiences accumulated over the past years in the field of decommissioning. Just now, at the beginning of the slides, I mentioned the institute complete as the general contractor for the first nuclear facility decommissioned in China. And now we are preparing ourselves to get ready for the future commercial reactor decommissioning in terms of the technologies. Waste management and treatment, and the main field covers the development of solid waste incineration equipment, and the performance assessment of the solid waste and decontamination, and disposal site safety assessment, as well as the special waste treatment equipment. And this is the research in waste treatment technologies. It covers not only the liquid waste, but also solid, gas, and special waste. And we have the special instruments developed, or facility developed for these specific topics. And in one of the major features in terms of waste management for CIRP, that is the incineration technologies. The incineration technology at CIRP, it is the earliest one in the country to conduct this research. And now the incinerator has been applied in China as well as Pakistan. And this technology is mainly for the medium low-level waste produced at the NPPs or other nuclear-related facilities. And yes, and this is for the cement solidification characterizations. And this is the service we provide already to most of the nuclear bases, most of the NPPs in China. And it covers, let me see, yeah. And it can be used for the NPPs as well as any other facilities in the nuclear fuel cycles for the medium low level extracts of the radioactive extract liquid, as well as the waste resin cementations. And this currently, this service has a market share of over 90% in China. And decontamination technologies, Institute already covers the owns the 70% of the decontamination formulas or technologies developed nowadays in the world. And it provides technical support to a number of the NPPs and related institutions, including the portable electrochemical decontamination, gel decontamination, and foam decontamination, as well as the calcium decontamination technologies, and also stripping or some portable instruments for the surface decontaminations and aerosol atomization fixation technologies. And another aspect of the Institute's business is the operation and maintenance of nuclear facilities. And this is the main business we perform through just now I mentioned. We have dedicated industries companies for the services. They provide service on site to the NPPs in the field of radiation protection, operation of the radiation protection, waste management, and nuclear cleaning, and performance testing of air cleaning systems, as well as the instrument maintenance and draw storage of the spent fuel. And this is the market share that shows most of the NPPs that the industries, companies of the Institute, that they have staff on site to provide service to the operators. And this is the another type of service that will provide on site for the NPPs and other nuclear facilities. That is for the testing and supply of nuclear air cleanings. And this is air cleaning services mainly for the primary and secondary loops of the reactors, and for the activated for the noble gases. Delay system that we developed for the purpose of the air cleanings of the ventilation systems in the NPPs. And not only services, but also the testing system and the iodide absorbers, not only services, but also the products for the purpose of air cleanings. It's capable for the is capable to the industry companies of the institute on site to the operators. The last part, this part will I will introduce some new research outcomes or of the new outcomes of the institute. One is the nuclear grade water filters and its elements. That the filter and filter elements and the filter materials now currently all available for at the industries of the NPPs based on the research findings of the institute. And the coverage of the filters, the processes of the filters now available at the CRP industry companies that ranges from the 0.1 to 100 micrometers. And it has already widely used in the NPPs in China. And I want to stress that not only the product itself, the institute's industry companies are also capable of the performance testings to the already exist the filtration systems for the in the nuclear NPPs. And this is the this is for the this is called the activated carbon delay systems. That is for the processing exhaust gases appears in the NPPs, and for the cleaning of the processing gases nowadays in the China. And this is the tracer gas leaking testing. It is mainly for the main control rooms for the NPPs for its heritabilities. And the institute established the test method for the tracer gas leak in the nuclear facilities based on the China's AP1000 and Hualong 1 reactor testing requirement for the in-leak rate of the main control room. It now has already successfully carried out on-site application at Sunmen NPP. And this is one that compact incinerators, and it is mobile ones. It can be carried carried to different locations on a track. And the solid waste treatment efficiency can reach 25 kilograms per hour, and the volume reduction ratio is bigger than 40%. And actually, it is the mobile version of the incinerators we have developed, and it's the most. Just now I mentioned the Incineration Technologies. Usually, for the bigger or nuclear power plants, we established incineration stations for the medium low level waste to continuously carry out the incineration process. But this one is a compact one. It can be it can be mobile and to move to different locations of very special mobilities. And this is the very further another application of the incineration technologies, and it is the for the very low level waste. It can be used for it will be more frequent or more common to the technology, not only the industry, nuclear industry, but also the nuclear technology application anywhere that produce the contamination, radioactive, radiological contaminations, and produce the waste, especially the waste oils. And it can be this compact, very low-level waste incinerator is very suitable for the treat of this type of waste. And the efficiency can be can up to 30 kilograms per hour. And the space it requires for this facility is very limited, comparing with the incinerator, a complete incineration station. It only 1/10 of the surface area is needed. This is a waste oxidization device for the waste redding, and waste redding is a very common type of waste nowadays in the MPBs and other facilities, and with these technologies we developed, and it can the deposition rate can be bigger than 95%, and the volume reduction ratio will be larger than 1.5. And this capability of this facility currently available at the industry companies of the institute is 10 to 50 kilograms, and it for each batch, and it can be continually operated. And this is the new another new research outcomes and transformed in our industry companies. This is the stand-type whole body counters, and this is the very popular ones for most nuclear related facilities. For the monitoring of internal contaminations, and it is the sodium iodide detectors, 2 pieces of large volume, 2 sodium iodide detectors, and the parameters is shown on the slide, and yes, this is a newly this is new products we transformed from the institute to the industry companies. And yes, it's most obvious features is the self-developed spectrum analysis algorithm, and for the internal dose estimation. And for this part, yes, the research findings we not yet fully transformed into the industry companies, and this is for this is a system for the consequences assessment for the emergency and preparation and response purposes. Currently, this system has already commissioned at national emergency centers and different some of the provincial emergency centers, as well as the utility and as well as some utility levels. And the National Nuclear Emergency Response Office have the plan to have this system as a national system for the preparedness and the response of nuclear accident, or for the training purpose. And this system is capable of responding to any for the large scale releasing, as well as the street very small scale releasings. And that is to see it is capable of responding to transporting major nuclear accident, as well as to some public events. For the distribution of the transportation and deposition of the pollutants, and provide decision support to the decision makers. So with this slide that covers the major business of the institute, we hope to, with this introduction, to establish connections with Indonesia counterparts, no matter for the scientific research as well as for the service and the products collaborations. And there's one point that I want to stress, that the institute is very open for the joint research programs to open the research facilities to the international counterparts. So we do expect any inquiries and contact from the radiation protection related counterpart to the institute. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Give a big applause for Mr. Wei. Very comprehensive and cover everything here, all aspect of CIRP, I think, from radiation protection, design and consulting for ALRA, radiation emergency response program, and then safety assessment of radiation monitoring instrument, etc. Here, a lot of things here. Okay, Mr. Wei, we have 6 questions here. From the first one is from Mr. Budi, Dr. Budi Setiawan. Yeah. Okay. To carry out the activities that are quite broad here in spectrum in terms of radiation protection, where do you get the funds for this? The funding, it means for this activity, is that from government or from the customer? You're still in the mute mode, Mr. Wei. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
And this is a very good question that I think it's a little bit difficult for the foreign counterpart to understand the sources of the research fundings, but I try to make it simplified for easy to understand. The institute is national level public research organizations, and we do research the fundings from the government, for example, from the CAEA as well as the Ministry of Science and Technologies. This is a fixed channels that is for the research, basic research of the institute, and the fixed programs of the fixed research programs. And also, we, as a member of the CNC, we also receive the research fundings from the CNC to solve the problems of arise in the field of radiation protection, to solve the issues or problems that pose difficulty to the CNC, and also in the safety and the protection of the ionizing radiations. Another aspect is to collaboration with the other. We open to the market to provide solutions to provide the customized solutions of the customers. So this is the major 3 sources of the fundings, and I think the government fundings covers more than half of the major part of the research fundings. And just now I mentioned in my presentation at the beginning part, starting from the 2020s, the institutes have ideas that to conduct a comprehensive reforms to further stimulate the innovation and of the scientific research of the institute, to open to the market, to transform the research funding of the institute to the industry companies, and provide the services, cut the product to the market, and get the commercial benefit to invest into to subsidize the institute's research and development programs. I don't know if this answers your question.
Absolutely, I think it's answered everything. Yeah, you got from the CNC, from the market, from the industry, engineering solution, and more than half from government. Yeah. All right. The next question from Mr. Deputy, Mr. Suryantoro here. The other issue of radioactive materials is the norm or T-norm. Norm is the naturally occurring radioactive materials, or T-norm, technologically enhanced naturally occurring radioactive materials. And how to manage in your country?
It's about the norm and
yeah, about the norm and T-norm. Yeah.
Yes.
Is there in regulation as well?
Yeah. Yes, I will try to understand like this. That China currently, it is the Ministry of Ecology and Environmental Protection. The Ministry of Environmental Protection has already formulated and publicized some several policies, or that is mainly it covers it contains a list of industries that related with the norm and 10 norms, and also specifies its safety and the environmental protection requirement, as well as the waste and as well as the requirement for the waste and tailings, as well as requirement for the waste and tailings. Yeah. China also organized two national level norm and for the norm and the 10 norms investigations for its radiological levels, the national investigations. And this data is the basis of just now I mentioned the policies issued. And that means the national based on the national investigation for the norm and 10 norms, the requirement and the specific requirement for the environmental protection for the waste and tailings is stipulated. Yes, I don't know if this answers your questions.
Yeah. Mr. Suryantoro, is that covered up everything?
Yes, okay. Thank you very much for the answer. Thank you very much, Mr. Wei.
Thank you.
Mr. Suryantoro. A similar question, I think, is from Ms. Made. Professor Made is just using the direct message to me here. The question is quite similar with Mr. Suryantoro about the data. You've got many data in terms of protection, radiation protection, and how do you manage your data? Is there any contribution of your research to regulatory body or government authorities? For example, you provided all your data to the regulatory body or the government, for example, as the basis of the operation of another facilities or research reactor or whatever, nuclear power reactor, for example, over there.
In terms of the data, actually, the data itself, as well as technology, yes, actually, the data, the raw data, for example, the measurement data, it is provided, or reported by the operator itself to the Ministry of Environmental Protections. Yeah. But for the data, for example, the analysis data, or the, for example, the personal dose measurement, as well as the data for the effluent and the discharges, it is managed. That is the operator reported to the CIRT, to my institute, and we analyze it and produce the estimation assessment and work out the report to the government. So the raw the monitoring data is responsibilities of the operator itself to report to the government. And the institute is the main responsibility is for the analysis and to produce the report to facilitate the decision of the government.
Okay, so yeah, you are not directly reporting to the regulatory body or the government.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. The next one is from Professor Jarrod right now. I was informed that China has started building its first underground research laboratory in the Gobi Desert, and to determine the suitability of the area for the future geological disposal of high-level radioactive waste, or HLW, yeah, including the spent fuel generated from nuclear power plants. What is the current status?
I think this question is about geological disposal of the radioactive waste. Yes.
Yeah.
And the underground laboratories. About the underground laboratories for the geological disposal purpose, yes, actually it started. It can be dated back to the 1980s.
Mr. Wei? Dr. Hu? Mr. Wei, you still with us? I think some kind of lost connection from him. Yeah. All right. He's coming again. Mr. Wei, you are still in a silent mode.
Okay.
Okay. I thought you are okay. Okay, you've lost a little bit.
Yes, but the last question is about the underground laboratories. Yep. And the institute, China studied its research about the geological disposal of radioactive waste in the 1980s. And the research mainly composed of the site selections for the underground laboratories, as well as another part is the engineering design of the laboratories. And the third major part is the radionuclide transportations in the soil environment. And the fourth major part is the safety assessment. This is the part that the institute contributes. Starting from last year, China starting the engineering constructions in the northwestern Gobi regions. It's Beishan. The engineering construction is actually started last year for the underground laboratories. It is planned by the year of 2000. As far as I know, that is by the year of 2025 to complete the construction of the laboratories. It will be commissioned by that time. And currently, at the Beishan area, the construction is undergoing. So I'm not sure if you have further questions on that.
2025, yeah?
Yeah, 2025.
Yeah. Prof. Jarrod, is that okay?
Yeah, okay, thank you. It's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Let's move on to the next question from Mr. Jupiter, Dr. Jupiter here. Mr. Wei, thank you so much for very broad and clear presentation. I was concerned with the in situ system measurements. Does this include system for NPP? And what the radionuclide are measured? Are they all simulated in your atmospheric diffusion calculation simulation or monitoring? Yeah, that's 3 questions. The first one is about,
The first question is
about the source term of NPP.
Yes, it's the short term. Currently, what we have done is the in-situ source term measurement is for the NPPs. So absolutely, is a short term is from NPP. And what radionuclides?
And then what radionuclides are measured over there?
And the major radionuclide is the strontium, cobalt, nickels, and Fahrenheit. Fahrenheit. Yeah, the Fahrenheit, cobalt, strontium, nickels. Yeah, this is the major radionuclide in terms of the in-situ measurements, source term measurement. And what?
And then about the simulation as well. Have you make some kind of simulation of atmospheric diffusion calculations?
It is not
using monitoring.
It is not related. It's non-business with the atmospheric diffusion calculation simulation facilities. It is based on with these measurements based on our spectrum unfolding algorithm. And we can produce the distribution of the radioactivities and as well as the radioactivity levels. And with these products and combining with 3-dimensional technologies, we make it a system to visualize the calculation results, to make people a clear understanding of distribution and the level of radioactivities and how to protect the personals from the external or internal contaminations.
All right, so you are measuring and then make sort of a calculations and visualize after that to the other stakeholders. Pak Jupiter, is that okay? Is that enough? Hopefully.
Yeah.
He's the expert here. I'm not really.
Yeah, I concerns about that because when we talk about the source term, you mentioned about strontium, cobalt, nickel, and ferro. Actually, for the atmospheric diffusion is like iodine, tritium. So as you mentioned, that it is not related to the source term, not related to the atmospheric diffusion. So it means what you are measured in the in situ source term measurements, it is different purposes, yeah.
Let me make some clarifications about this in situ measurement, the technology, in situ
source term measurement.
In situ source term measurement, and the general purpose of this in situ source term measurement is for the nuclear facility or the reactor. After a period of time of operations, there's some activated products or some other radionuclides that are accumulated or deposited at a different in the pipelines, as well as some valves, and the deposition make it through a period of time, it will be form a hotspot. So there are so many hotspots. It is within the processing pipelines and as well as in the equipment or system itself. It not concentrate on the currently this system do not focus on the atmospheres.
Okay, good.
For the iodides. Yeah. It is focused on the processing waste or the radioactivities
Okay.
in the pipelines and in the reactor itself.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chen.
Yeah, the main purpose is for the protection of the staff to perform the outage duties, to protect this, to optimize their personal dose exposures.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Maybe after this, Pak Jupiter, you can continue with the discussion. It's quite intriguing.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. The next one, it's also interesting here from Mr. Sumiran. He said that thank you for the explanation regarding the nuclear emergency program. He highlighted about this. In the pandemic condition like this, how the nuclear emergency program is carried out in terms of training or whatever. Yeah, during the pandemic, you know that we face some kind of difficulties how to carry out the emergency program preparedness due to the COVID limitation. Are there any strategies for you?
The combination of the nuclear emergency preparedness and response with the pandemics is that new issues arise last year. In recent 2 years, discuss exchanges with IAEA, and the agency also mentioned these topics, how to include the pandemic issues into the emergency programs. And currently, in China, the emergency programs is because I'm not expert on this, but if possible, I can provide you the answers later on when I check with my colleagues from the emergency department, because I'm not very sure about the current improvement in terms of considerations on the pandemics in terms of improve the emergency programs in China.
Okay, maybe you later on just write the answer and send to Mr. Teddy.
I will prepare a paragraph that maybe through the CZEC to provide these answers to the audience tomorrow, okay. Later on.
Great. The next one, it's again from Mr. Deputy, Mr. Wei. In HTRPM operation, will be graphite dust off in the reactor system. What kind of technology will be used to clean in order to make sure no dust clog and reduce the performance of the HTRPM? Yeah, this a bit difficult question, I think, or perhaps Dr. Sun Jun as well can help to answer it.
Yeah, you know. Yes, on these topics, I just now checked with my colleagues aside that we do have research programs on these topics for the graphite dust for the HTRPM. And this research program started about 4 or 5 years ago, and currently I'm not very much clear or sure about the research outcomes. If possible, that I have to check with them and to provide you later, like the previous question.
Yeah, I know that's probably guys from INET perhaps can help as well to answer about this. The next one from Mr. Parikin here. Thank you for the presentation. I want to ask a little out of topic. We know currently Indonesia is developed many coal-fired power plants. On the other hand, a lot of countries out there will abandon this kind of power plant starting this year. What do you think if this coal-fired power plant, PLTU, it's mean coal-fired power plant over there, is modified into a mini nuclear power plant reactor? What step should be taken? Yeah, that's fine. I think it's a bit out of your topic, but probably yesterday, Mr. Sun Jun or Dr. Chen Bin will try to address this one. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. As a member of CEC, we also a member of the nuclear industries. Of course, that we do expect the small modular reactors can be a alternative to next alternative to the thermal power plant. And what do you think of this is modified to? And the first factors in my mind that will be, I think, the socio-economic development stages of the societies. And because they small and modular, comparing in terms of the economics to comparing with the thermal powers and the SNR, the economics is of the first priority to consider, and how to modify it into a mini. Modify it. It's really difficult because it's a little bit outside my knowledge about the.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. I think yesterday we have a presentation from Tsinghua University and another one for the small and modular reactors. I think Dr. Xu and Dr. Chen will be more suitable for these questions.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to the next question. How about the regulation regarding decommissioning, and who will be responsible for decommissioning financing? Here from Ms. Jenny Anggraini. Who will perform the commissioning? How about the regulation as well?
And in terms of
the financing, yeah.
In terms of the regulations for the decommissioning in China, currently the situation is like this. For the commercial reactors, it is the financing. The money is from the operator itself. That is, the operator the operator handing the money annually to hand money to the government and for the purpose of get prepared for the future decommissioning. This is for the commercial reactors. And for other type of reactors or facilities, it is the CNC. It is CAEA, the China Atomic Energy Authorities. It is this department on behalf of the central government to find the fundings to get fundings for the decommissioning of this type of facilities generally.
Great. So either CAEA or the operator. The next one is from Professor Eri Heswara. It's very technical, this one. I hope I'm not missed something here. Thank you for the nice presentation. Is there any reason for you to put the sequence of radiation protection principles as justification J, dose limitation L, and optimization of protection O instead of JOL, as used by ICRP and the IAEA? As regard to protection to the environment, have you developed your own reference animal and plan to establish those response relationship for this subject? Have you? The first one is about the GOL, and then second one is about the development of your reference, either animal or plant, to establish those response relationship for this kind of subject. Yeah, Professor Eri, maybe is that what you mean over here?
GOL 和 GLO 这个咱们没有特殊的意义吧？它都maybe this is editing errors that we do not post any special meanings for reordering the three major principles. and we understand and we accept. We also agree it should be GOL, and maybe this is the editorial areas, the issues. And the second part of the question is aspecting to the protection of the environment. You have developed your own reference animal and plant to establish. 是呀，咱们做了一个动物的那个 phantoms， 还有人体的 phantoms， 植物的好像也在做吧？植物有吧？有是吧 ？Okay, for the second part of the question that it is the institute established back into the 1980s. The institute has established the reference Chinese standard Chinese phantoms for male and females. That is the human phantoms. And currently, just now I mentioned, we have laboratories for dedicated for the radiotoxicology studies, the animal laboratories, and they are currently conducting the radiopharmaceutical safety assessment, and within their research scope, they are I think they has already established the reference the animal phantoms in recent years. And plant for the reference plant, this is the scope of our ecological laboratories. They established several types of plants, reference plants for the purpose of dose response relationships, and actually, 这个动物的剂量曲线有这个才能做那个环境响评价。 那个就是3种要的。This is the questions for the this is the answer. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. The next one, yeah, we have two more, I think. Yeah, how about the measurement methods to measure the neutron in reactor? What the direct measurement with neutron detector portable to measure neutron is accurate and precise? Is that precise? Yeah.
For the measurement of the neutron, and of course, it's what I can answer you that there's two ways. One is measurement in the reactors. The other one is by the accelerators, and with the institute in the next 2 or 3 years is going to establish an accelerator-based neutron sources, and in that cases, I think the neutron measurement is performed on that basis. And for the direct measurement in the reactor with a portable, it should be considering the
and kind of portable instruments, sort of like that, so direct measurements.
一般不是不准确的。We do not recommend the direct measurement with portable detectors for the neutron measurement purpose. There should be some very completed, somewhat completed preparations for the purpose of measurement of neutrons in reactors.
So it means
it's not. We do not believe it will be.
It's not really precise and accurate. Yeah. All right. Okay. The next ones. I think the last one from Pak Chris Tribasuki is about the nuclear power plant again. Do you mind to answer it, or perhaps we can answer it in the next session? I think the third one. It's a bit close with the topic about research reactor. Perhaps the session, the nuclear power plant will be addressed properly. Yeah, Pak Chris, kita tanyakan di session selanjutnya, Pak Chris ya, terkait dengan nuclear power plant. Yeah. Actually, I still have a few questions. I think actually from but direct message. I will email you, I think, or send you the questions because we are run out of the time, I think, for your session. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for the good presentation, Mr. Wee, and for your patience to answer all questions here. A lot of questions for you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think this concludes the session for radiation protection from Mr. Wee from this second session this morning. For the next session, for the third session, I will hand over to Dr. Hu. Dr. Hu, please.
Thank you, Dr. Sefu. And also present to Mr. Chen Wei, as mentioned, for the unanswered and remaining questions. So we will help Mr. Chen Wei to collect this question and to give forward the answers to you later. Okay, now we will move to the last topic of this webinar. We will have Dr. Sun Zhiyong to present research reactor technology of CNC. Dr. Sun is Director of the Department of Reactor Engineering Technology from China Institute of Atomic Energy. So the China Institute of Atomic Energy, the CIAE, was founded in 1950. It's the cradle of the nuclear science and technology in China, and also a comprehensive R&D base of CNC, which is a leading and fundamental and forward-looking position in nuclear fields. With his more than 60, during the history, there are more than 60 academicians of Chinese Academy of the Science and the Chinese Academy of Engineering once worked at CIAE. And more than 10 important domestic institutions and factories in the nuclear field were derived from CIAE. Today, it has become a multidisciplinary scientific research institute involving in nuclear physics, nuclear chemistry, radiochemistry, and reactor engineering technology, accelerated technology, nuclear electronics, as well as detection, isotope production, and the radiation meteorology, and the nuclear safeguards. So now we are very pleased to invite Dr. Sun to give the presentation. Thank you, Mr. Sun.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay, okay, ladies and gentlemen, good noon, maybe. I'm Sun Zhiyong from China Institute of Atomic Energy. My spoken English is not skillful, so I try my best to explain the presentation clearly. The presentation is on research reactor development and capability of CIAE. This presentation is divided into 4 parts. Firstly, I will introduce the nuclear reactor briefly. In fact, the nuclear is a clean energy, and the peaceful use of nuclear energy is the current trend of development. Nuclear reactor as a main road to peaceful use of atomic energy. So, what's the nuclear reactor? It's well known when uranium fission reactions, it will release neutrons. The nucleus split into 2 or 3 fragments and the release of large amount of energy. So we can use these neutrons or energy by a facility, so-called nuclear reactor. If we want to use the neutrons to do irradiation test research and radioisotopes production, the facilities are called research reactors. And if we want to use the energy release to get power or generate electricity, The facility are called power reactors, such as nuclear power plants. Next up, I will introduce the applications of research reactor. Research reactors are the foundation of the nuclear industry system. A research reactor uses neutron or gamma ray released by fission to do irradiation test research and radioactive isotopes production. I think research reactor is the basis of if we want to establish a nuclear industry system. For a research reactor can be used of nuclear power technology R&D and the technology support, such as new type of full R&D materials, irradiation, performance research, or nuclear power personnel training. Also, research reactors are the foundation of neutron physics research. They can do such as neutron scattering, neutron activation analysis, and the neutron radiographies, etc. Other applications of research reactors are multifarious, such as medical treatment, isotopes production, agriculture, geology, mining industry, silicon NTD, and gems coloration, etc. I think for research reactor can play a huge role for nation economy. For nuclear power development, research reactor can provide can perform the R&D of nuclear fuel assemblies, constructional materials, and components for nuclear power plants. And for neutron physics science, research reactor can support the materials science, life science, environment science, physical chemistry, and other important disciplines of basic experimental research. And the research reactor also play an important role in the application market of the nuclear technology. It can be used for industry and medical radioisotopes production. And it also can be used to carry out the NTD of the large size silicon ingots to provide high quality semiconductor material. It also can enhance the gems color by irradiation with faster neutron. And also a research reactor can do neutron activation analysis be widely used in industry, agriculture, medicine, environment science, and neutron radiography is widely used in aerospace, architecture, archaeology, biology, automotive industry, and etc. The third part, we will review the historical of Chinese research reactor. With the help of the former Soviet Union, China's first research reactor, HWRR, heavy water research reactor, was built in 1958. Meanwhile, China's nuclear industry system was also established. The HWRR reactor is the first reactor of China. It was operated from 1958 to 2007. And the HWR made a great contribution to nuclear industry's development of China. 2007, the reactor shut down permanently. At then, we finished the full unloading and spent full transportation. The heavy water drainage applications for retirement, risk management of the tritium contaminated water. I think in future several years, HWRR will finish decommissioning. This slide shows the first research reactor designed and constructed independently in China. This reactor is named is swimming pool reactor and SPR. The SPR plays important historical roles in the development of China's nuclear power plants and the nuclear submarine. SPR reached first practicality in 1964 and went into power operation in 1955. Till now, it has been operated safely for 7 years, and maybe the reactor is will operating 5 or 10 years. Now, SPR main work is on fuel and material irradiation, merriment technology research, also performed the silicon NTD and some radioisotopes production. This slide shows the first fast reactor of China. Was constructed in 2010, so-called China Experimental Fast Reactor. CEFR has a thermal power of 65 megawatt and takes electrical power of 20 megawatt. It's an experimental fast nuclear plant, and based on the CEFR, China is constructing the 600 megawatt first prototype fast nuclear plants. We call the CFR 600. This slide shows 2010 CIA constructed a new research reactor, China Advanced Research Reactor, so-called CAR. CAR has a design nuclear power of 6 megawatt. And the enrichment of the fuels is 19.75%. The car has a design, it's a pool tank type, water cooled and moderated, heavy water as a reflection. This slide shows a prototype reactor and of a miniature neutron source reactor. The prototype reactor has established in 1984, and later 8 commercial MNSRs was built for several Chinese organizations and foreign countries like Pakistan, Iran, Ghana, Syria, and Nigeria. Till now, the total operation of MNSR reached over 100 reactor years. The main usage of MNSR are neutron NAA, neutron activation and analysis, productions of short life nucleus, and education and training, and the test of an instrument. Beside the power research reactor, CIE also have many zero power system facilities. This slide shows a critical facility of DF6. This is a zero power fast neutron facility, a criticality facility. And it's mainly used of the research of fast neutron physics and technology. It's went to first critical in 1970s. And this slide shows the accelerator-driven subcritical reactor development focus on the ADS, maybe 2004. CINE constructed zero power subcritical facilities like this. Maybe the first accelerator-driven subcritical reactor of China will be constructed in 2026. Actually, CIE has constructed tens of zero power nuclear facilities, covered almost all kinds of reactor types. Up to now, 28 research reactors have been designed and constructed by CIE. And the CIE also is called the cradle of research reactor in China. This slide shows the 18 research reactors in China. And some was shut down, and some is operating. Finally, I will introduce and recommend some typical research reactors. I think for a country, if we want to beginning of nuclear technology, I think MNSR is a very good choice, is because MNSR, and if we a country want to plan to develop nuclear power technology, maybe SPR is a choice, and CRR CAR is a high perform and multi-purpose research reactor. MNSR is an inherently safe reactor, and any nuclear accident is impossible. The MNSR is very small, safe, reliable, cheap, and suitable for nuclear education. So it's recommended to non-nuclear countries or university. The MNSR main application is for NAA and instrument test and training. And recently, boron BNCT is also the application of the MNSR. As a famous archaeological example, implemented in MNSR, the Emperor Guangxu was proved died in murder of arsenic poison. And the BNCT is developed based on MNSR for curing cancer. Several clinical cases of skin cancer have been completed. And this slide shows the 5 export MNSR: Pakistan, Iran, Ghana, Syria, and Nigeria. Maybe in recent years, NCT is very hot. I believe MNSR maybe is the best neutron source choice. And SPR recently, based on the swimming pool reactors, CIAE development the multi-proposed SPR. This is the main parameters and the future of the SPR. It can perform the NAA and the neutron diffraction, neutron radiography, and the NTC. Also can do BNCT. And the irradiation test of new fuel and material, and the isotopes production, and the silicon entity. In recent years, CIAE has, based on SPR technology, is developing some commercial reactor models. Typically, the medical isotopes production reactor development is power of 50 megawatt or 20 megawatt, and also with based on the SPR, CIAE development deep pole low temperature heating reactor, so-called DHR. This is for the provide the hot water for the for the winter heating. And the last last reactor is the CAR. A CAR is a multi-proposed and high-performance research reactor. Its available thermal neutron flux is highest in Asia. It has 22 radiation channels and 9 horizontal holes for neutron applications. So it can undertake almost all the reactor's application requirements. But I think this type of reactor is very cheap, very expensive. So maybe as a commercial isotopes production reactor, the cost is somehow high. And this is the CR's parameters and his main applications. And finally, we welcome all the cooperation on peaceful use nuclear proposals. We can cooperation areas development of research reactors, development of small power reactors, and in-irradiation test, and the nuclear technologies advice and support, nuclear safety analysis and evaluation, and the training of reactor operation staff. That's all. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Sun, for the nice presentation. It's very good, I think, talk about the research reactor and the applications. We have a question here from Mr. Ozzy. Yeah. Hey, I'm Ozzy. Yeah, all right. From Center for Science of Advanced Material. It's one kind of center, research center in Batam. He read from your presentation slide that you have neutron radiography facility. And you mentioned also about the aerospace application. Can you really do that? Yeah, he asked about that. Is that really applicable for the aerospace application? And what is the neutron flux you have, the energy you use, and the length per diameter ratio in your neutron radiography facility? It's quite technical, I think. And because he's curious about this. Yeah, that's the question, Dr. Sun. Yeah.
Okay.
The first one is about possibility to use the neutron radiography facility for aerospace application. Yeah. Please.
On the research reactor, also is main focus on the materials, irradiation test. I think 航天的那个这个叶片呢，
他打下来
对，是把那个打在这里。
等一下。Okay. I think for aerospace 应用啊 ，aerospace is we focus on the neutron detectors, neutron radiography to find out the 这个缺陷是材料里面的缺陷。Sorry, maybe I can't explain my mind.
Okay. Maybe the next one. How about the neutron flux of your reactor and the energy you use? L per D ratio, perhaps sort of just a brief explanation here, if you don't mind, if it's you hold the data right now. If it's not, just send it to us after this, I think that's fine. For example, in one of your research reactor, what's the flux of research reactor? For example, for MNSR or SPR, for example.
I think for the research reactor, the design of research reactor usually focus on the focus on special special aims, such as some research reactor is good at the materials and the fields irradiation, and some research reactor is good at isotopes production, and so I think it's very difficult to design such a reactor can 可以应对所有的应用需求，看应对是怎么说呢？can 解决是吧？can solve all the requirement. So we have to design and construct all kinds of research reactor, especially in China. The nuclear technology application is very 广泛的 widely. So so we have to have many research reactors, and maybe one reactors can solve this, some area of engineering, and for different type of power reactors, we have to design and construct a research reactor as the facilities for the development, and so sorry, my English is not skillful enough.
No, you're good. You're right. Yeah. Okay, we got it. The next one is about the utilization of MNSR here. It's quite similar with the question from Mr. Eri before. Professor Jarrod asked about the MNSR. The utilization of BNCT here, boron neutron capture therapy, still under development or already implemented?
Okay. MNSR used in BNCT was start at 2002, and the years of 2010, the first BNCT reactors based on the MNSR was constructed in Beijing. The names is INRH maybe, and then on the facilities, we do some BNCT research, and then because this work is not in a CIEE, but I know the information that three skin cancer was irradiation on the facilities, and this 治疗的效果是怎么说呢？ And the result is very good, and I just know this. But the reactor is hardly to build on a hospital. I think, but MSR is I think this is suitable for the hospital because of his very safe and cheap, and operation is simple. Comparing with the accelerator, the neutron flux of the reactor is 稳定的是 the neutron flux of the reactor is stable maybe, and the accelerator an accelerator for BNCT maybe can use in hospital, maybe needed 5 or 10 years development. I think this is not my my area, so I'm not sure.
Okay, thank you. Let's move on to Pak Jupiter question here, Mr. Sun. Thank you for the nice presentation. With the presence of various radioisotope production equipment such as cyclotron, accelerator, electron beam, would you please give us your thought on how the research reactor could survive as one of the prospective nuclear reactor technology in the future? Yeah, it's interesting, I think.
Sure.
Do we survive with the other competitor? For example, cyclotron, accelerator, or electron beam? What about your experience there? What's our thought?
I think research reactor maybe recently as in CIEE, I believe research reactor reactors should be focused on the medical isotopes production, this area. But the reactor is I think maybe the cost of the reactor is very high. So economic of the reactors to isotopes production is not so good, and one side we try to desist the cost of the reactors the construction and operation, and meanwhile we try to increase the 产量是 try to produce more more isotopes and maybe the engine for the nuclear engineering science requirement also maybe can 就是解决一部分can so part of the cost of research reactors operation. Thank you. Maybe I can't.
Yeah. So the cost also the concept here, yeah. Yeah, cost production and then construction for research reactor compared with others, quite expensive, right? The next from Mr. Tukiran, we still have two more here, Mr. Tukiran and Mr. Ari. Nice presentation, Mr. Sun. Yes, question, how do we choose the best control root material for research reactor? About boron or AgINCD here, or HF? Which one? Oh, yeah. This Mr. Tukiran is coming from the Research Center for Reactor Technology and Safety. So his question very technical here.
I think research reactor is not a standard type of research reactor. So so the control road of the research reactor, I think every different reactors are different also. Maybe the trends of research reactor maybe as 检测的堆芯，检测堆芯是什么？so maybe I think well, in China, most the research reactor expect the MSR and the SPR. We use the hafnium as the controlled absorption materials, but for SPR. We use 碳化硼或者是铬吧，铬是怎么说的？ we use boron cadmium as the absorption materials.
On the type of research reactor as well, you use hafnium or boron. Both of them sometimes, each of them you force each reactor. The next one from Mr. Ari, the last one I think. Since the component inside all the type of research reactor are mainly customized, generally how many % of them are fabricated in China? Thank you. You've mentioned before that you've kind of construct many research reactor. And how about the components? Do you produce by yourself or?
In China, research for research reactor for CIE, almost 90% of the components was fabricated in China, and some maybe for research reactor maybe 90% or even 100%. But for power reactors, the percent is lower, maybe 7%. Yes.
All right. So basically, you can have 100%, yeah, for the research reactor. Okay. I think that's all the question for you, Mr. Sun. It's all concludes the presentation of for your sessions. Before we move to the concluding remarks, closing remarks, I would like to ask Mr. Huang Yuliang again. Perhaps you have a concluding remarks here for the second day.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Xiaopo. Just now, Dr. Sun gives us a comprehensive presentation, and maybe for some of questions, we will have Dr. Sun to give you more clarifications. As you mentioned, maybe he's a little bit nervous, so the oral English is not very sufficient. But don't worry, we will send you more details and also documents on all the related questions. So finally, we are very honored to invite Mr. Ding Jie, Vice President of CCC, to deliver the closing remarks. Thanks, Mr. Ding.
Okay, thank you, the chairman, and also thank you, Mr. Huang. It's Ding Jie speaking. I'm from CCC. So the distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I think that right now it's an afternoon, so good afternoon. I feel more than glad to have spent 2 half days. So with our friends from Indonesia and the international nuclear energy community. I'd like to thank you for your precious time and special attention to CNNC. So as President Xie Jiajie of CDEC said yesterday, so we hope to share the successful experiences and achievements of China's nuclear energy development through the webinar, and assist nuclear energy and technology in contributing a fair share to developing global economy and ecological civilization, combating climate change, and improving people's living standards. So 2 half days of exchange must have provided you a better understanding of CNNC's nuclear power technology and part of its industrial chain. So as of today, CNNC has exported 7 nuclear power units, 7 research reactors, and 1 critical devices, and also provided human resources training on nuclear energy to dozens of countries and international organizations. Taking this opportunity, I'd like to summarize some CNNC's strengths in international cooperation. The first one is CNNC has a complete nuclear industrial chain ranging from the front end to back end, covering uranium exploration, mining, purification, conversion, enrichment, nuclear fuel fabrication, nuclear power plant, spent fuel reprocessing, and nuclear environmental protection. So CNNC is one of the only two enterprises in the world possessing such capability. So, and thus is enabled to provide services portfolios to meet customers' different demands. The second one is CNNC has strong strengths in research and technologies, because almost all the important basic nuclear research facilities are under CNNC. Although CNNC already has various kinds of high-tech research achievements, it's also making constant efforts to carry out basic research and development. Therefore, we have solid support to conduct international cooperation on supply chain. Third, CNNC is not only the owner of a nuclear power plant, but we undertake the construction and operation and the maintenance work for the plant as well. In the industrial chain, CNNC is a plant owner and a highly competitive nuclear power technology provider and EPC general contractor. Being a Chinese enterprise also provides us advantages over other counterparts in funding and marketing, which are also essential elements for our cooperation. Therefore, we are confident in providing better, safer, and more economical solutions and services for our partners around the world. To use nuclear power for peaceful purposes and benefit human beings is a common expectation of people all over the world and the joint responsibility of all governments and enterprises. Cooperation should be strengthened to further development. Nuclear energy cooperation is very important for the enhancement of mutual trust between countries against this very backdrop. Since nuclear power construction is a centenary commitment, relevant cooperation will help forward long-term friendly relations. CNNC hopes to build closer relationships with Indonesia and other countries and deepen cooperation and exchange in the peaceful use of nuclear energy. Once again, on behalf of CNNC, I'd like to express my gratitude and the best wishes to Badan and all the experts and guests of the webinar. Thank you for joining us and for making this webinar a great success. I look forward to communicating with you on a regular basis and wish that you could pay a visit to China and CNNC in the near future. So wish to see you in the next meeting and wish you good health and the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Vice President of CCC, Mr. Ding Jian, for the closing remarks. And we would like to invite the Head of Center for Nuclear Reactor Technology and Safety, Batan, Mr. Dandang Purwadi, to give a closing remarks. Give you the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, Ms. Nina. All of you, good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. This is we have carried out the webinar today. It's very interesting and many participants. Thank you very much for all participants and also for the presenter for the interesting theme of the presentation. Also, fruitful discussion from the participants, also very interesting. And let me say the Alhamdulillah to closing this for closing my remark that the webinar can be carried out successfully. Thank you very much. back to the Mr. Nina.
Thank you very much, Mr. Dendang. And now we would like to invite the Deputy for Nuclear Energy Technology Batan, Mr. Suryantoro, to also give the closing remark. Give you the floor, sir.
Thank you very much for Ms. Nina, for the Master of Ceremony at this webinar, international webinar. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of this 2 days very important seminar, international seminar on the nuclear power and technology, the collaboration between Batan and CNNC. Yeah. In 2 days, I participated in this seminar. The seminar have a very good discussion, very good information that can increase our knowledge, for example, in our knowledge regarding the nuclear power and technology. So we know about the Chinese technology from CNNC and also other institutions in China regarding the nuclear power and technology, and also radioactive waste management, environmental, radiation protection, and also the application of the nuclear technology. That is a very have a good beneficial for us. Ladies and gentlemen, and again, I would like to thank to the CNNC regarding of this webinar. We can perform together with the international webinar and also with the Batan together. We hope in the future we can collaborate again and can make some contact that will increase our collaboration between China and Indonesia in the field of the nuclear technology, in the application for the peaceful usage. And ladies and gentlemen, today is the end of the seminar again by saying Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. I would like to close this international webinar, and thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Thank you very much for our moderator for this session and all speakers for the excellent presentation, and also all the participants for your very active participation. Hopefully the presentation will be beneficial for all of us. Finally, let's give applause for all the speakers. Ladies and gentlemen, we have reached the end of the webinar. We thank you all for making time in your busy schedule to join us in this event. We would like to thank again to all the speakers, Dr. Suparman from Batan, Mr. Sun Jun from Tsinghua University, Mr. Chen Bin from Synergy, Mr. Jiang Huixia from China Nuclear Power Engineering Corporation, Ms. Ho Yani from China Isotope and Radiation Corporation, Mr. Cheng Wei from China Institute for Radiation Protection, and Dr. Sun Jiong from China Institute of Atomic Energy. We wish you all success in your work and your technology. We would like to extend appreciation for those who have contributed to conduct of the webinar. Please contact us if there is problem with your questions or the registration for attendance and the certificates. Stay healthy and have a great day. Thank you.
Terima kasih.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Yang terhormat Bapak Ketua Yayasan.
Terima kasih, Pak.
Yang terhormat Bapak.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Shall we leave silently, Miss Nina?
Ya, makasih semua.
Yo, bye now.
Terima kasih. Jangan lupa absen, Bapak Ibu.
Ya, terima kasih. Bye now.
Absen siang juga.
Terima kasih.
Aku di kantor aku ya.
Wis.
Hanya tanda tangan.
Siap.
Di setelahnya musik apa?
Maju tak gentar, Mas.
Kenapa?
Style 5 juta gentar. Lagu 17-an.
Tambah gemuk ya.
Yang di YouTube udah juga ya.
Ya, sudah.
Oke, yaudah. Mari Kak. Mas Ridho bisa di-close atau?
Sukses, selamat.
Terima kasih Ibu Bapak. Bu Widya, terima kasih. Excellent, Bu.
Ya, bagus banget, Mbak Widya.
Bu Eni besok ya.
Oh iya, banyak ya. Nanti siang juga ada ya. Nanti siang jadi kan panitia keselamatan?
Iya.
Yang itu besok ya. Pak Med, aku mau aja sebentar ya.
Iya, Bu. Monggo, Bu.
Saya N for all ya.